Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to the semi-finals of the StarCraft Evolution League. It's time for a best of 7 of Zerg versus Terran. We're spawning right here in the top left-hand corner, playing with the StarCraft 1 drones. We're looking inside of the main base of Rogue. Of course, one of the greatest StarCraft 2 Zergs, a previous world champion as a matter of fact. His opponent, though, down in the bottom right, a name that I have not seen in a while. Playing with the blue StarCraft 2 SCVs, we have none other than TaeJa. Now, if you've been watching StarCraft 2 for a long time, you will be very familiar with the name TaeJa. TaeJa sort of retired in, I want to say, maybe like 2017 or so. It's been a good number of years, but before that point, he dominated the scene. Now, sadly for him, I suppose, at the time, StarCraft 2 prize pools were not nearly as big. But I will name you some of his tournament victories, okay? So he won IEM Shenzhen in 2014. He won the 2014 DreamHack Open. He won Home Story Cup number 9, also in 2014. He won the 2013 DreamHack Open Winter, Home Story Cup number, 8. We have the 2013 DreamHack Bucharest, the StarCraft 2 League. He ended up winning the Aces ROG Summer 2013. He ended up winning Home Story Cup 7, the Evil Geniuses Master Cup, the DreamHack ITSO Open Valencia, the Aces ROG Summer 2012, the 2012 MLG Summer Arena, the GS... Okay, he's won a lot of tournaments. Long story short, TaeJa won a lot of tournaments. But at the time, the biggest prize pool was usually about 10K. If he would have won the same number of events about a decade later, he would probably be on, at the very least, like a lot of people would consider him to be one of the greatest players that would ever have existed and possibly even the GOAT. Now, I still think he is a name that is certainly worth remembering because he won dozens of tournaments back in the early days of StarCraft. I haven't really seen him play in a while, but he's back right now to compete in the StarCraft Evolution League. This is a $6,100 prize pool in total for this particular event. So it's going to be a very interesting update as to where he currently is at. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with StarCraft Evolution, this is a custom mod in StarCraft 2 that combines StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2. So one of the players is playing with the Brood War equivalent, and then the other player is playing with the StarCraft 2 equivalent. We're playing on StarCraft 2 maps as well as StarCraft 1 maps, and we're alternating in between games. So since this is a best of 7 semifinals, it means that in the next game, Rogue is going to be playing the StarCraft 2 Zerg, and TaeJa is going to be playing the StarCraft 1 Terran. I've been loving this so far. It's been an absolute blast. So, let's see. It looks like we are indeed going to be playing good old Cyclone Mech here. Good old Cyclone Mech. Very powerful, of course, but we have seen the Zerg players with the Brood War units deal with it in very interesting ways. They have got access, for example, to the Brood War Queen with an ability called Ensnare. Very, very powerful. They can also, of course, go for Dark Swarm if the Terran ends up going for like a more siege tank heavy approach where they can build up a bunch of defilers. And in general, it just changes all of the dynamics of each of the matchups. And I guess as far as high-level StarCraft Evolution goes, it doesn't really get much better than these two playing against each other right now, at least in this particular matchup. I've actually been very happy to see the amount of people interested in this mod as well. It has been an absolute blast to, cast these games. And I would love to keep it going, so as long as there's interest, I am certainly not against doing more. Now, one of the things I have noticed in this particular matchup is that Zergs are getting bullied. There's no queens available, of course, at least not the StarCraft 2 queens, meaning that Hellions and Cyclones can just be such a bother in the earlier stages of the game. Zerglings can sort of catch up, but it's not easily done. There's no access to Roaches, of course, either here for the Zerg player, so he has to go into Hydras, but Hydras are also a unit that these Hellions can certainly kill. Still though, with some nice positioning here, Rogue has effectively created like a single file entry over here into the natural, and the Sunken Colony is always going to be within range. I quite like that play. He's got a third base down. Third base is likely not going to be mineable for a little while longer, but I do like across the board how he is managing this here for the time being. Third command center coming up though, but now the Hydras are available and they will indeed be hitting. Keep in mind, of course, that those units function a little bit differently too from their StarCraft 2 counterparts. They're called Hydralisks. They kind of look like StarCraft 2 Hydralisks as well, but in general, their damage output works a little bit differently because of the way that armor works in Brood War. Either way, Blue Flame right now on the back of this as well for TaeJa, who already improved his lock-on ability on those Cyclones. Got ourselves, I believe, that is the Muscular Augments coming up as well. Okay. I think the numbers here for Rogue are good enough, though. Rogue is, of course, a very creative player in StarCraft 2. Somebody who really has mastered every single playstyle. Like, in a way, in my mind, Rogue is like the much crazier counterpart of Serral. But, you know, Serral is a player that has a very wide range. He's got a... By the way, this has got to be the ranged upgrade, actually, for the Hydralisk, not the speed upgrade, because they already certainly have their speed upgrade. Either way, Serral has got a very wide range of strategies that he likes to go for. Rogue likewise as well, but Rogue does the crazier parts of Zerg instead. And I feel like his style must be very well, leaning into StarCraft Evolution. I've just got a feeling that it should work out very, very nicely. It's been a long time since I have seen a Rogue compete in this mod. But in my mind, the craziness that he likes to go for in StarCraft 2 and then just the wide variety of playstyles that he likes to employ should work out brilliantly for him. Now, these Hydras, though, are not going to work out brilliantly for him. I mean, they're dealing some damage on the other side of the map, but I don't believe that this first squad is going to be enough. They will all die right as the second wave of Hydras is arriving. Not quite optimal here for the South Korean Zerg player at all. TaeJa decides to immediately, well, strike while the iron is hot, and I've got a feeling that this is an army that might just be able to win the game. Especially with the StarCraft 1 tunes in the background, I feel like it's hard to lose any game. Yeah, the Cyclone lock-on is going to hurt real bad, and the Hellions now morphing into Hellbats too. They are going to be able to tank so much damage. Once the floodgates are open, I don't think there's a whole lot you can do. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on a map called Blue Storm. This is most definitely a Brood War map. I mean, obviously, it's the StarCraft 2 equivalent of the Brood War map. Look at this, man. Very tight choke point over here in the back of the natural. Rocks over here, too. Natural expansion is flat from the main base. No ramp over here, but a tight choke point, and then a giant ramp that leads down to that spot. Very, very strange. One of my favorite parts, honestly, for this mod so far is looking at the Brood War map design, because it's just so different than what we're used to in SC2. And I would love to see some more Brood War-inspired map designs. Okay, we're gonna go for the good old engineering bay block. Obviously, you don't want to finish the structure, or maybe you do. In Brood War, you can at the very least fly the NG bay. Makes life maybe a little bit more straightforward, but usually you just build it up a little bit so you can cancel it after forcing the Zerg into a different location. Ooh, look at the creep on this map. What in the world? I thought for a second that spawning pool was building off creep. I don't know how I feel about this creep texture, but it's kind of sick. It's just hard to see, I suppose, right? Maybe it's not that bad, though. Maybe your eyes just sort of need to adjust a little bit, but very curious texture. In the meantime, TaeJa is building up a refinery at home. He's got himself double barracks here, too. Command center on the low ground will probably be happening in a moment. So where exactly does this lead off to? So there's another base up the ramp. There's a little dead spot right over there on the map. Zerg can just run around the long way, though. So we have, of course, the barracks wall off here. But, I mean, Zerg can just run all the way around. Tight choke point over here, too. No watchtowers, of course. Yeah, Brood War map design really is fascinating. It really does look like a game that's like 10, 15 years older and just has more refined maps. A lot of the StarCraft 2 maps are very similar to one another, which is one of my big criticisms for years. But it's very fascinating to see this map design, because I wonder if this would work in SC2. There's probably a reason why it wouldn't. Anyway, Zerglings just run straight into the main base, and this is exactly what I was wondering about. We have, of course, well, a giant ramp. Rogue is like, he's just saying, hey, can I walk into your main base for a little bit? Have a little look around, see what's up. Is there an escape over here? No, it doesn't look like it. That's a dead end. Ooh, I love the marine firing effects over there as the medics are coming out. So what's the goal? Hey, it's actually not a full wall off. He actually has a little gap in between. Must have been on purpose. What's the goal right now for Rogue? In the previous game, he sort of got caught with his pants down a little bit. Those Cyclones and Hellions dealing more damage than he anticipated. So far, though, his bases are extremely disjointed, and TaeJa is just doing a tiny little counterattack here. It's a handful of Marines. Stimpack is going to be done very soon. We have a fire bat! My goose is getting cooked. Alright, well, he didn't really achieve that much. Dying just seconds before the Stimpack is available. A fire bat push. Now, we do have the Academy here. I'm assuming that's going to be the ranged upgrade for the Marines, but I don't quite recognize all of the icons. So we have the Marines just stimming now into the main base. Man, this map is crazy. He just runs through all of this. Oh, yeah, that's the stuff right there, man. Get those Stimpaks going. Let the ladies heal you back up to full. Guys, I gotta say, the Brood War sound effects are just incredible. They're so nice. Huge counterattack in the meantime. Hellbat, though, stuck on that choke. But Rogue can take the long route around. Maybe just go into the main base. It is now walled off, I believe. Yeah, no way that you're gonna get in there. Still, though, those fire bats need to be respected. I don't think you're gonna be able to jump that. Not a chance. Fire bats are incredible. In Brood War, Zerglings hit differently too, right? Like, they're very much so balanced in StarCraft 1. Around the fact that you can only hotkey so many and that the pathing is questionable, to say the least. These StarCraft 2 Zerglings are not nearly as powerful, and the Hellbats are eating them, or the Firebats, I guess I should say, are eating them for breakfast. By the way, that shell upgrade was indeed the ranged research for the Marines. Yeah, so it looks like we're just gonna go good old Marine medic here with some Firebats for support. I really like how gritty and how, like, almost, like, dirty all of the StarCraft 1 stuff is. It's very... It's almost a little bit grimdark. Oh, we're gonna pull the boys? Dude, I really like what TaeJa is cooking up so far. TaeJa clearly has been practicing this mod. Yeah, he's pulling the boys. He's been looking at what Rogue has been up to in this game thus far, and he is coming up with a counter. I don't believe that Rogue is gonna have an easy answer here at all. Rogue only just now has got a Roach Warren and a... Or sorry, not even a Roach Warren. He's got a Baneling Nest coming up. No lair or anything like that yet. He's decided to evacuate the third base altogether. Fair enough. Look at those graphics. Woo! It's glorious. I don't think you're going to be able to hold this without Baneling speed, can you? Well, it all comes down to how good the micro of TaeJa is going to be. TaeJa, of course, I mean, a very high-ranking SC2 player back in the day. He certainly has some of those skills still in him. A lot of workers have gone down, though, and that has me a little bit concerned. Okay, he's going to start working on the mineral line of the Zerg player, too. The queens are getting targeted. The drones get pulled for the surround as well. TaeJa gets another quick point on the board.
I'm about to drop the hammer and dispense some indiscriminate justice. What is your major malfunction? Ready to roll out.
That's the StarCraft Brood War siege tank? I did not know about that first line. Maybe that's what happens when you click him a whole lot of times. Usually there's like an annoyed line. if you click a unit over and over and over again. I guess that's what that one is for the siege tank.
Yes, sir. Destination, identify target, orders, sir. Move it. Proceeding. Delighted to, sir. Absolutely.
Those last ones, I think everybody knows, but I'm not sure about the first. Now look, Rogue may be one of StarCraft 2's greats, but so far, TaeJa is destroying him. It looks like, by the way, we're not necessarily alternating. I'm not exactly sure what the rules are. Maybe it's like loser's pick or something along those lines, because TaeJa is playing Brood War Terran back to back. I really like those fire bats. Now we find ourselves on Pylon. Again, every single one of these maps has been adjusted. So, interestingly enough, by the way, so the map maker, the custom map maker, so the modder for StarCraft Evolution is Hyper1. And Hyper1 in SC2 has made a ton of StarCraft 2 ladder maps as well. So I asked him briefly, and he basically said, look, I have updated some of the maps. For example, the mineral fields and whatnot are different, so each and every one of these mineral fields has the same amount of value. That's different in StarCraft 2 for the SEL version, the StarCraft Evolution League version of the map. We have adjusted the values, but he's also changed a bunch of other stuff that he thinks would be better for this mod. So there may be some other minor adjustments to Pylon than what we normally see. But for example, currently, Maganatha, the current ladder map, Maganatha, was made by Hyper1, which is pretty cool. There were a bunch of other maps as well, if I'm not mistaken, over the years that did make it all the way onto the ladder. But yeah, he's got a lot of experience making StarCraft 2 maps, and so far, I've been loving this game mode. It's been really fun. Even just the way that the units and the structures look, man. I think I like this unit design for the barracks better than the StarCraft 2 one. Not that the StarCraft 2 one is bad, but I just kind of like how it's clearly inspired by the way that humans would actually go to space, right? Like, I mean, these type of... They're almost like suction cups at the bottom of the barracks. I guess maybe they're thrusters or something along those lines. I'm not exactly sure. But it is really fun to see. StarCraft 1 really has a great aesthetic. I like StarCraft 2, though. I think StarCraft 2 looks great, but there is a... there's certainly a little bit of nostalgia. We have an academy again. The one thing I am missing is the scream from the academy when I click on it. That one will always be iconic. Academy Scream StarCraft 1. I'm assuming somebody uploaded this to YouTube. Oh yeah, absolutely. Just picture that every time I click on the academy, okay? Yeah! Alrighty, good old Stimpack coming up. No tech labs available on these barracks. Not going for the ranged research first, though. Again, we have the medics here. I guess Rogue has had enough. Rogue not really wanting to play mass Zergling against that firebat medic style once again. He's decided to rush out roaches. Now, this is a very quick roach warren. And I think he's going to go Ravagers too, judging off of the amount of gas that he's still got. Once upon a time in the early days of StarCraft 2, there was a build called the 9 Roach Rush. I think that's what this is. Yes, we're going good old 9 roaches straight back into drones. I do believe he's going to be sending them out. He's probably waiting for the scan to wear off. Evo chamber? He will have to test the waters for a little bit, won't he? Can you really just make 9 roaches defensively? Oh, that's what he believes he's needing to do. There is that attack coming in right now from TaeJa. Look at the way the Marines look, by the way. They're kind of sick too, right? With their colorful shoulder pads. Very gritty. Yeah, so now he's going for the ranged upgrade. There's no way, though, that you're going to be able to do an attack into Roach Ravager at this point in the game. I don't believe it. So Rogue effectively saying, look, I will take the early game eco hit, I don't really care because I know I'm going to be able to counter whatever you throw at me with this type of start. So at the very least, I can force the games to go a little bit longer this way. Ooh, even the scan sound effect is nice. Sorry, this is turning into me just being a fanboy. I can't help it. Machine shop. Getting the siege mode upgrade researching right now, as we will be making a transition from Stimpak into Terran mech, it looks like. It's a little bit odd. He's only 2 barracks deep at this point. Maybe you can make the transition, but it's going to be quite costly. Either that or he's going to plan on, or he's planning on making mass siege tank, I suppose. Certainly not a terrible idea, but usually the ratio of barracks to factories is different. Roaches are currently off creep though, and this army here, little timing attack, is putting in quite a bit of work. Ravager is expensive, 100 minerals, 100 gas. TaeJa decides to target it down for just a moment. Did someone page me? Ah, medic! Sorry. That was unnecessary, but I felt like I needed to do it. I'm assuming that's the +1 infantry attacks right there for TaeJa. So he is actually playing good old bio here in the end. The armor upgrade for the infantry units looks the same. I think the attacking upgrade may have just been adjusted. The square siege tanks will be out onto the battlefield here in just a moment. They're actually more rectangular than their Brood War counterparts. Especially sieged up, though. Oh, it's so slow. In Brood War, they always look like squares to me. Yeah, these have a little bit more of a rectangular shape to them. By the way, to clarify, a lot of the models in the game, like for example the medic, right? They're from, for example, the Wings of Liberty campaign. Some of the models are made by Blizzard. Like for example, the SCV model. That one is part of a custom skin that you can go ahead and buy. I think that they did this for like an anniversary event, if I recall correctly. They like added a custom skin for the command center, and then also for the Nexus and the hatchery, and then also for the workers. But some of the other skins in the game are made by the community. I don't know if Hyper 1 like made every single one of them. It would be insanely impressive. But I don't think there's a classic siege tank that Blizzard designed. I don't think there's a classic Academy skin. It's kind of awesome, like how well and how seamlessly integrated it is. Same for the supply depot. Like these supply depots can't lower. They can't raise. They're just there. Once upon a time at the very beginning of the mod, they just looked like StarCraft 2's equivalent, but no longer, man. Visually, they all look very Brood War. All right, what about this push, though, here from the Zerg? Corrosive Biles. Yeah, say goodbye to your siege tanks, and maybe this is the type of timing attack that we should be seeing. The transition into mass siege tank is very powerful, but there's really not a whole lot of bio units available. Third base is certainly going to have to be evacuated, and at this point, Roke has done a pretty good job as well, spreading the creep through the middle of the map, creating almost like a highway for himself, where he's just sending in unit after unit, splitting up some of the units here too to mitigate some of the splash damage. And while the tanks are doing a good job blasting this army apart, Roke has already dealt a lot of damage over at the third, but I mean, it's still alive. Science vessel coming up. Irradiate! Oh, we have one science vessel up in the air. Irradiate is a very powerful ability that you can use, I believe, only on biological units that deals a lot of damage over time. Not a terrible idea at all, but you do need a lot. Science vessels alone are not going to cut it. Very cool unit, though. Yeah, there is a science vessel model in the campaign of Wings of Liberty, if I'm not mistaken, but it doesn't look like this. If I recall correctly, and again, I'm not a Brood War expert, but I believe the Irradiate ability effectively deals damage until the unit is left over with 1 HP? I'm not exactly sure on every single one of the spell mechanics in Brood War. Same for all of the different upgrades and stuff, but long story short, it's gonna deal damage. Maybe I'm confusing Plague. I'm not sure if... No, I think Irradiate might be even better than that. Either way, it deals damage to the Zerg units, okay? That's the main thing you have to worry about. It's not just a supportive detector in this particular instance. It is here to really deal damage. Rogue, by the way, is gonna commit again. The question is mostly when. He's going for a lot of Zerglings as well, but the pre-spreading here is already good. Irradiate? Do you throw it down already? Oh, there we go. A lot of units coming in around the left side too, though, and those siege tanks are having a grand old time. You know what? Maybe going double factory this quick is actually the way to go. TaeJa is dealing so much damage with those tanks. The Roaches and Ravagers are getting blasted apart, and again, Rogue was trying to break through. He does not get the job done here. Dude, TaeJa is dominating. What a gamer. I was questioning his strategy here and the build order that he made, but I mean, that is very effective. Ha! He's killing his own units. Oh. Yeah, it's not good. So the units that are surrounding it are also affected. Does it last forever? I mean, I feel like every Brood War spell just lasts such a long time. Irradiate most definitely kills, though. I think I'm confusing it with Plague. Alright, anyways, here we go. We have another wave. Maybe this one can be successful, but it's starting to feel like the effectiveness is dwindling. Then again, though, you just need one successful attack. And this is 11 SCVs going down already, but Rogue is miles away from the back row of siege tanks. 4th Command Center just seconds away from being done as well. That means that the lost SCVs can quickly be replaced. And some of the ones that are still available are going to start repairing the tanks. I think it's about time for Rogue to go back to the drawing board again. Supply-wise, he's still fine. This game is certainly not over yet. But TaeJa seems to have an answer at everything that Rogue is throwing his way thus far. Oh my god. The science vessels are also growing in numbers. And this ability basically just seems to last forever. Man, it's so expensive. The spellcasters in Brood War might be overpowered, man. I'm just looking at every single one of them. We saw that in the past as well with the Defiler's Dark Swarm, and then, well, just all of the other abilities as well, for example, from the Queen. They all just seem insane. Irradiate lasts forever, it seems, and it just kills. Look at this. Every single one of these waves is going better and better and better for TaeJa, and Rogue is effectively trying to just throw more at the problem. So let me actually look it up real quick, if I have a moment. Irradiate Brood War. How long does it last? Because it feels like it's lasting forever. Irradiate, it deals 250 damage over 25 seconds to biological units within a 32 pixel. Okay. So long story short, it will kill everything within that time frame. Now, the Roaches are trying to go in around the site. That's nice and all. The main problem here is that the science vessels... Oh, they also have that shield, of course. Main problem here is that the science vessels don't have infinite amounts of energy. He's activating the shield right now on some of the units that are further forward, so they can actually be protected for a little bit longer. And Rogue is starting to really deal damage. Even though I've been questioning this, like, relentless Zerg attacking, it does seem to do decently well. I mean, it's more successful at this point than I thought it was going to be, and I think that's mostly because of the way that economy works in Brood War. Normally, right, in that sort of situation, when Terran loses a bunch of workers, we see the mules flying down, and suddenly the Terran's economy is once more up to a reasonable standard. But Rogue is constantly killing SCVs as well, and I think that's really hurting TaeJa. 36 of them have gone down. Ultimately, though, if TaeJa can max out, I think his army is going to destroy that of Rogue. Rogue is thinking the same thing, going into the Baneling speed upgrade right now. +3 armor is already done, though. +3 attacks already finished here as well for the Terran. Well, it's done right now. I think as long as the science vessels are around, TaeJa's fine. That's the main culprit. Like, the more science vessels there are, the more energy obviously will be available, the more defense matrices, the more irradiations. I don't know exactly what the upper limit of science vessels would be, but you can probably make like 8 and it would be fine. It's a lot of playable supply right here for TaeJa, who's now even sending the science vessels by themselves. They have little turrets on their tops, by the way, but I don't think they can really do much. Nah, they don't have an attack on their own. Oh, here's a big Irradiate again. As long as he dodges the biles, which shouldn't be very hard, he is going to be able to kill this army, man. Look at how much damage Irradiate is dealing. Oh my god. I mean, at this rate, it's looking like a 4-0 sweep here for TaeJa. I know we're only in game 3, but my god. Does TaeJa look like the better player across the board? It's been such a long time since I've seen a TaeJa game. You'll love to see it, though, man. He's doing a great job. I think Rogue told him to play Brute War again. He plays a very different approach this time around, but still such a powerful one. And now it's his time to try and go across the map. Ultra Cavern coming up. We already did have Vipers. Banelings, of course, now also available. And the Marines, I mean, the medics are going to have to be careful. Down this choke point, though, will be just fine for TaeJa, who's going to try and move back up towards the high ground. Can we get a Irradiate on the Banelings? Those units are so clumped. Honestly, I think you make like a dozen. You just keep making them, man. Like, you just spend basically all your gas on more science vessels. You can probably get away with a dozen. StarCraft 2 units are also just... Ooh, there we have the mass Parabomb. Parabomb deals 120 damage, though, and the science vessels have way more HP than that. So I guess at the very least, they're going to be sent back home for repairs. At least it's getting this Terran army off of his front door for a moment, it seems. What about this, though, TaeJa? Pay attention. He does pay attention. And he will be able to get away. Dude! I really wasn't sure what to expect from TaeJa going into this match. Fun fact, actually, a lot of the old StarCraft 2 professionals from Korea play Brood War now. Many of them do it casually, but they grew up playing Brood War, and Brood War is an insanely popular game in Korea. So, it's clear to me that TaeJa has been playing. You know, like, this is not a player that hasn't touched a mouse and keyboard in a decade. Very evidently, still more than capable. 340 APM as well. Nice certain counterattack, though. Rogue, of course, somebody that never gives up. Very quick in swifting his, or swiftly switching his goals. And what about this push right now? Ultras are dealing a lot of damage. Blinding Clouds as well, disabling a lot of the tanks. There's just so many of them, though. Like, every time he believes he punches through a wave of those units, there's more siege tanks on the back of it, and now the Ravagers got popped as well. GG gets called. TaeJa gets a 3-0 lead. Ooh, big change here from Rogue. He has switched from blue to pink. Next up, we find ourselves on Holy World. Holy World. I don't know how you're pronouncing. What is this? Giant star in the middle of the map. All right, then. Is this pink or is it purple, actually? Now that I'm looking at it again. I have this discussion all the time. Whenever me and Laurent play board games, every time I claim that something is purple, she tells me it's pink. And every time I claim that something is pink, she tells me it's purple. I don't know if I have some weird color blindness going on or if I just don't know what colors are. So this looks pink to me, but this looks purple. Like, these colors are not the same. Oh, well. It's again TaeJa playing Brood War. Rogue once more playing StarCraft 2. Obviously, this is a Brood War map. What is this song, by the way? Sorry, can we bump that up a little bit? Is this an official Brood War song? I don't think it's Brood War. I think it's StarCraft 2. Is this Nova Covert Ops? Wait. We have had music like this available for StarCraft 2 the entire way through, but it's never actually on for the multiplayer version of the game. We've had new content for StarCraft 2, even though it's about, like, I don't know, 7 years old. What is this? There's a neutral command center in the middle of the map. What in the... Ah! There's a storm! Sorry, what is going on? The SCV didn't take damage, though, so maybe it was just visual? Now, this is not a Brood War Zerg, right? So there's not gonna be access to a command center infestation. Infested Terrans in Brood War hit very differently. Can I see what's going on here in the middle of the map? Like, that was very odd. Maybe something happens when you get to the middle? Actually, I think that's the... oh, what's the ability called? Disruption Web? Is that what it's called? The Corsair? I don't think that's Storm. The Storm ability looks different than that. But I have no idea why. Why is there... Why is... I don't know. Don't question it, Loco. Here's another one. Don't question it. We have little visual indicators of what I think is a Protoss ability in a game that doesn't even have Protoss in it. Now, what we also have is a triple Rex. Yeah, triple Rex with good old upgrade. Just a single one this time around. I gotta hand it to TaeJa, man. He's going for different strategies every single time. Here we go again. Last time around, Rogue managed to hold this by going for a very fast Roach Warren. This time around, he's decided to go for a fast Spinecrawler instead. I don't know if it's a good idea, but... Time to poke. Yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. Stimpack is not yet done. No medics here in the mix either. I'm assuming that Disruption Web, by the way, is active. I'm assuming it's not just a visual. Likewise as well for the command center. This looks like a real command center. Map is, by the way, kind of odd as well. So we have this, like, backdoor expansion with a skinny golden mineral field off to the side. But then, like, full mineral fields over here and double gas up there, but harassable from the back. Yeah, he's gonna mine this out. It's only one trip worth. I think you mine it out here with the SCV, and then you suddenly create, like, an extra opening into your opponent's base. There's also these rocks behind the main base, too. Rocks over here as well. Man, I would love to see a StarCraft 2 tournament on Brood War maps. Like, just take all of the maps here from the SEL, from the StarCraft Evolution League, and just do a StarCraft 2. Like, show... Maybe it's terrible. Maybe it's garbage. But it's gonna be interesting, to say the least. These maps are fascinating. So your main base has a ramp on the side, and then two rocks as well that lead to individual bases? Huh. There's probably a good reason why we don't have this in StarCraft 2, right? So obviously this is effectively free 4 bases. Very easy to get free... very easy to get 4 bases going. Not 3, not free, but you can get very easy expansions. And obviously if you can make 4 bases in StarCraft 2, then Death Ball armies become a real big issue. Like, for example, Skytles on a map like this would probably be quite broken. It's also a 4-player map, by the way. Rogue now taking one of those expansions here, but he's taking the side. Maybe you should have mined out the golden mineral field first and then taken a base over here instead so you can take the gases. Because right now he can't. Nidus Worm coming up. Okay. Yeah, let's give him a taste of that. See how it goes. Scan immediately reveals it. You don't have to make the decision here, right? As TaeJa. TaeJa doesn't have to think, okay, do I want to go Mule? Do I want to go Scan? Oh, man, it's a difficult call. And if in doubt, you always go for Mule in StarCraft 2. That's just the rule. He has now seen, indeed, that there is already a Nidus Worm on the production tab on the side of the Zerg. It's not going to happen over here, but maybe this little Zergling can send a Nidus Worm around the site. Ooh, Marines decide to just chase this army. We are, by the way, already on match point here for TaeJa, right? I really hope that this is not going to be the end of the series. But so far, TaeJa just seems to be the better player. Really no doubt in my mind. Now, I feel like Rogue is kind of getting stuck a little bit in that early to mid-game mentality. Like, he basically just threw more stuff at the problem in the previous game and it didn't really work. Usually, that's a sign of somebody that doesn't have as much refined gameplay yet. And I can imagine that's just because, well, I mean, he made it to the semifinals of this tournament, but there's a good shot that he made it to the semifinals of this tournament just by being really good. Right? Oftentimes you can out-macro opponents, and that can take you really far. The average pro gamer can make their way to Grandmaster League with ease just off of macro alone. Completely ignoring strategy, completely ignoring micro. Just being good at spending money is like 80% of the road there. So, I wonder if that's what happened here. And now that Rogue is actually playing against one of the very best Evolution players out there, now that he's playing against TaeJa, he is forced to strategize in a game that he hasn't really played as much as the opponent. It looks to me like we are once more going Ravager, Ling, Bane, but we also have a transition towards the Infestation Pit. This is far less aggressive than what we saw from Rogue in the previous match. He's basically saying, okay, you can come to me if you want to fight, but that's really about it. I wonder if, like, certain units that are basically unheard of in this matchup for Zerg, right? I wonder if certain units for Zerg and SC2 are suddenly viable again. Like, for example, we never see Swarm Hosts. I don't think it would be particularly great, but it's probably worth a shot. Oh, he did mine out the little skinny mineral field just now, but the problem is it looks like the Zerg unit still can't quite fit. Yeah, you guys are too thick, man. I hate to break it to you. You're like thick with like 4 C's and then spaces in between the letters, and the C's are all capitalized. Yeah, this is space only large enough for a drone to slip through. Not even the Zerglings can fit it. You can see that Rogue is thoroughly confused about it. In the meantime, TaeJa is setting out a trap. Yeah, Rogue, maybe eat a salad every once in a while. Anyways, Hive is just about to finish up, but he's not going to be getting any of those upgrades just yet. What about this push? Oh, I think this is going to hurt. Those siege tanks are blasting. Still, the Zerg numbers may just be good enough. Notice here as well that the Science Vessel numbers are not really anything to write home about. So even though he's trying to go Irradiate again and all that, we only have a single vessel. In the previous game, we had quite a few more at this point. Where'd the dropship go? Dropship is nowhere. Okay, and that actually makes this game very playable again for Rogue. I think he just got away with a little bit of luck, honestly. Because this game is not looking that smooth for him. I wonder if maybe the dropship got all army hotkeyed, which is extremely cursed for a Brute War player. But I did see the Marines over here hugging the mineral line. I wonder if he accidentally all army hotkeyed them across. I think that must have been what happened. Nidus Worm over here at the front. Man. We have gone from being able to select 12 units at a time to using the all army hotkey really quickly, huh? Bad habits are quickly formed. So are these units kind of stuck here, or can they walk home? No, they can just walk home. They just enjoy being stuck here by themselves, I suppose. Looks like we have a Vulture transition coming up. This is the Vulture speed upgrade. These are the spider mines. Ultras, though, will be stomping the battlefield in a moment. Irradiate! Juicy one. Yep. Boom. I think you should target the Ravager here, right? Like, if you have a clumped up set like that. Ooh, a little medevac drop, or dropship drop, or ship drop. In the top right. Man, this drop play is monstrous. Yeah, these rocks should have been destroyed. I think Rogue just learned the hard way that those mineral fields are impassable by anything other than workers. The Zerglings, by the way, did make the long trek around to finish up some of those units. TaeJa, by the way, did play a bunch of times as well, right? So, yeah, he had most of his successful tournament runs back in the early Wings of Liberty days. Maybe like the late Wings of Liberty days. Maybe like the early Heart of the Swarm days. He retired. At some point, he went off to the military, and then he did try to get back to SC2 a few times. Oh, wow! The flying unit also affects the ground units. That's crazy. Yeah, so this is gonna last half a minute. Don't run into the mineral line, dude. That ability is nuts. Dude, these Brute War spells are way too good. This is just insane. So I think the Disruption Web is affecting these units over here. It's hard to say visually, but I think it must. Nidus Worm over here, though, is going to be unloading 2 Zerglings, maybe? No, he's not going to opt for that. But he has got this army of the Terran player stuck. Yo, TaeJa's army is stuck in this cul-de-sac. He can't actually go anywhere else. Massive blinding clouds go down. Banelings are rolling through everything. Rogue, with an absolute monstrous distraction, managed to bait his opponent into this unescapable bit of terrain. Woo! That was hot! I mean, sex is nice and all, but have you ever seen a Zerg player blinding cloud the entirety of the Terran army? Oh my god! Well, I don't think that these roaches are gonna be able to make it out. They get to experience death. At this point, TaeJa can scan all he likes. Rogue is gonna take the base on the other side now. Rogue, this is so cursed. I think this is Rogue's first time seeing this map. It's so stupid. We're gonna take 2 bases for 1 mineral line. We do have some of the spider mines joining in right now. But this is not good for TaeJa. Honestly, an insane fight. Oh. Why does it look like he's got his arms spread out, man? Look at his little limbs. The engineering bay is believing it can fly. And it can, actually, but it looks bad. There's something very funny about the engineering bay. You can almost hear it go. Whee! Alright. Irradiations for the victory. That's what we need. What about a few corruptors, though? Yeah, you can irradiate them. TaeJa still has a big army, though. But he's gonna have a difficult time taking a 5th base. Rogue is gonna be all over that. We have expansions left, right, and center for the Zerg in the meantime. And I think what Rogue is basically saying is like, hey, you can sit on your bases. I will give you your quadrant of the map, but that's it. Like, we're not going anywhere from there. So, even though these bases have 1,500 minerals per mineral field, so they will last longer than a StarCraft 2 base would, TaeJa is still gonna mine out in like 5 minutes time. Maybe a little bit more, but I think taking a future expansion is gonna be tough. Still though, this is gonna give him a lot of money, and at this point the map is a literal minefield. Spider mines all over. It's gonna be easy to accidentally lose all of your links. Yeah, and these, I guess they're stuck as well. They weren't really stuck, though. They were just pretending to be stuck. Double Nidus Worm. You know what? If one Nidus doesn't do the trick, what about double Nidus? As we have the Ultras. My god, an Irradiated Ultra has to be one of the coolest things I've ever seen. What in the world? 21 SCVs have gone down, though, and even though the Nidus Worm over there has been shut down, Rogue is busy gobbling the opponent up from the inside out. Okay, you know what? That siege tank safety spell right there, right? With the defense matrix from the science vessel. I think it oh my god, what? No way, man. Are we... Thought for a second he was going for the Fear Dragon. In my mind, that's a Fear Dragon build. Not quite the case. Making a Nidus Worm, putting it right next to your opponent's structures, and then unloading Banelings into it. Now a couple Banelings do unload again and go after the SCVs instead. Just a few Corruptors in the mix, right? Makes all the difference. In the meantime, we have a whole lot more stuff over here. I believe, by the way, that the defense matrix, which is what I was trying to talk about earlier, I think it like basically makes it so that the unit can take a maximum of 1 damage or something along those lines. It basically makes the Ultras pointless against the unit that is affected by it, but if you have a lot of Zerglings in the mix, it will still put in the work. Load of gas available, by the way, for TaeJa. Oh my god, that Ultra is having a field day on the left. These guys also helping out. Yep. I think this is gonna come down to one final hurrah right here for TaeJa, and I just don't believe he's got the army for it. Like, he's scanning, he knows that there's a lot of bases out there for the Zerg, and he will certainly give this a shot, but at this point, Rogue is able to remax, and he is absolutely gobbling this Terran player up from the inside out. Well, maybe he can get a base for his troubles. But immediately on the back of this, Rogue is sending in the troops. No blinding clouds on his army this time around. Hatchery will go down, but the Broodlings are going to make the surround for the Zerg even easier. And this is just the Ultralisk stomping through everything. GG gets gold, and Rogue does get a point. Oh no. We're on this abomination of a map again. We're back on the Isles of Siren. Now, this map is crazy. By the way, Rogue's still playing purple-pink. Pink-purple. Pink-purple. He's playing this. Maybe it's his new lucky color. This map is nuts, okay? So, the first bases are all on an island. So, the first 4, it's a little bit difficult to see, but it's surrounded by a body of water. And then in the middle of the map, we have, if you pay very close attention, we have 4 gas geysers over here and 12 mineral fields. So you can take one base in the middle and then mine it with like 40 workers in total. It's nuts. Lucky here for Rogue, this is a 4-player map. He is sending his first Overlord in the right direction. I wonder how much experience Rogue has in this this game mode so far, though, because I think Holy World was a brand new experience for both him as well as me. I'm hoping for his sake that he has played this one before, because he would be in for a nasty surprise. But, I mean, the creativity of these Brood War maps really should be suiting somebody like Rogue very nicely. I think Rogue is actually just a very good strategic player. I know that sounds kind of funny, because obviously this is a real-time strategy game. But a lot of StarCraft 2 comes down to mechanics. Being able to execute stuff is much easier said than done. But Rogue, as far as strategy goes, is usually a bit of a mastermind, so I think he probably knows. He's expending on his side of the map. This fort, by the way, is accessible by land, but you have to go take the path from the main base all the way around and then loop it back to this fourth. There's also this giant bit of open space on the side of the main. It's all very odd. But I kind of love it. By the way, now with Rogue winning, it seems like TaeJa, I think it's probably loser's pick. I think TaeJa has said, yo, you should go ahead and play StarCraft Brood War again. Because I saw you play that stuff earlier and I wasn't impressed. So let's see. Lair coming up right now for a Rogue. Look at that spawning pool as well, by the way. This is not even like a spawning pool. This is like a bunch of them. It's like a spawning theme park over here. This is like a water park. Beautiful time. Fresh Mountain Dew to be bathing in. Okay, we have a 3-minute Spire. 3 minutes! How much can you produce? Normally, one of the ways in which the Mutalisk is balanced in Brood War is by the amount of units that you can clump up together in one control group. One of the big problems, of course, is that you can only hotkey so many. Over the years, Brood War players figured out ways to like clump the units up together as well by, for example, adding an Overlord into the control group. It's a very fun mechanic, but again, it's balanced based around the amount that you can actually hotkey in one big clump. Not an issue in StarCraft 2. You can put, well, 500 supply. Or, I guess, no. You can put like 1,000 supply worth of mutas in one control group and still be okay. The pink-purple Zerglings trying to get the wraparound on these drop units. Couple SCVs in the mix. What are we planning on doing, TaeJa? Spire is going to be done real soon, by the way, which TaeJa is accidentally going to, well, see. Muta production, though, has come up. I love the way that the Mutalisks in this game mode look. They look a lot more like their Brood War equivalents. Although I do think the StarCraft 2 Mutas look nicer. These look more like paper planes. Also, the Zerglings have little flippers, by the way. In case you haven't paid close attention to a Zergling, they have little feet with like little... They have like duck feet. Very odd. Anyways. No link speed available or anything like that. But he is gonna just jump on top of this army. And now with the Zerglings cleaning up the ground, I think the Mutas can retarget to the air. That's the SCVs going down. Really? We just tap out immediately, TaeJa? Okay, so this push certainly failed. But that's an early GG. TaeJa clearly anticipating that there wouldn't be this much anti-air. And he didn't really have a whole lot of economy on the back of it, right? So that was effectively an all-in from him that never really seemed to be working anyways. So that means we're now on Sylphid. And you know what? Momentum has shifted. Rogue was obviously going to commit to the counterattack. He already had a good economy. I don't mind it to see TaeJa tapping out there, but maybe it's because I consider the Muta to be a like a C-tier unit in StarCraft 2 at best. The Brood War units, I guess, are a little bit better, but tapping out against a Muta opener when you haven't even been attacked yet, it does feel a little bit early. Either way. Ooh, Rogue is gonna go for the hatchery wall off over here on the low ground. I'm sure he'll be making a hatchery as well over there in just a moment. This is the map with all of the grass. There's a load of grass everywhere. And we have some of these Zerg cocoons over here too. So these are like an alternative way of walling off. So there's a bunch of different ways in which map makers in Brood War make maps. There's a lot of skinny mineral fields, for example, but there's also these cocoons. These are not going to hatch or anything. But you can destroy them later on if you want to. Map looks massive, by the way. If you just look at the mini-map, it feels like there's just so much. Yeah, I think the big difference is that the Brood War Muta is just a lot better than the StarCraft 2 Muta, right? So I think upon seeing them, TaeJa was like, okay, there's about a 0% chance that I'm going to be able to hold the counterattack. And even if I do, I'm still at like I don't know, half of the economy of the opponent. May as well go to the next game of the series. A reverse sweep would actually be glorious. It'd be very cool to see. TaeJa gets the scout off right now of where the opponent is. And a creep colony is going to complete the wall off. I'm assuming we'll cancel that one. Really no reason to have it fully walled in, but... SCVs, by the way, do have 45 HP. Compared to the 40 of the drones. Nicely done. Cute play right there by Rogue. Walled himself in fully. No easy entrance into the main base. Sunken Colony gets the confirmed kill. Creep colonies get cancelled. And now the hatchery over here on the low ground is done as well. So, Rogue already making adjustments in this series now. Now I need to rally that hatch. There we go. Going for the wall off first makes a lot of sense now, right? Lair as well again on the back of this. It looks to me like we're once more playing quick mutas. Now this is not an island map. The grass flows all over. I am actually a sucker just for this super old school color scheme. I mean, it's just green and dirt, I guess. Like, it's just grass and gray and tones of brown, but... all of the StarCraft 2 maps have become a little bit more colorful than that. It's a bit old school. Shout out as well, by the way, to the map makers. I don't know who, like, ported all of these maps over from Brood War to StarCraft 2. But they've done a pretty dang fantastic job. Like, all of these maps look wonderful. I think it's one of the things that everybody always kind of forgets. Like, the maps in the StarCraft 2 world are made by the community. And we really have been spoiled, graphically at least, like visually, with how the maps look. They are, generally speaking, very, very good. Scanning the main base, though, is going to confirm exactly what TaeJa is playing against. And once more, it is indeed going to be Muta Ling. Rogue also expanding in the direction of the Terran. Normally in StarCraft 2, Zergs will expand away from the opponent. Not the case here this time around. I feel like the spawning pool is missing some sort of shadows or something. Like, it looks... You see how, like, the... So this is the StarCraft 2 Spire. It has a shadow over here. Same for the lair. The gas geyser seems to have a shadow, but for some reason the spawning pool does not. Maybe this is a vampire spawning pool. Could be. Look at these Mutalisks. Look at them up close! Maybe it's a pool in the ground. No. Maybe. Huh, maybe they dug it. Alright, Zerglings have managed to go into the natural expansion. I was still looking at those Mutalisks. They look insanely cursed up close. Their eyeballs are massive. They have like a scorpion tail for a mouth. But they are also dealing quite a bit of damage over here. And this could hurt. So far, throughout these games, right, we have seen one theme, I suppose, and that is that TaeJa gets map control, TaeJa gets to do whatever he likes. And it worked out in Rogue's favor in game number 3, but only just barely, and partially due to the fact that TaeJa drove his army into a corner. Now, though, in the last 2 games, it seems like Rogue has decided to shift gears and be the aggressor. Be the one that has the map control. The bullier or the bullied has become the bully. Yeah, I believe that's the solution to bullying. Just bully them back. I believe that's how it works. Anyways, Lurker aspect being researched right now. A lot of Zerglings are all over with their little flipper feet. TaeJa, though, has been stuck on 2 bases now for a little while, and he seemingly is having a difficult time even securing those 2. Look at the minimap as well. Suddenly there's movement everywhere. Rogue picking up the pace. Zerglings once more moving in. TaeJa needs all of his troops in the main base to defend against the Mutas, and that means that maybe this Wolof is gonna get the Knight once more. Okay, I do like the Hellions now. Loads of SCVs are dying. And Rogue pulls out. Alright. 4th hatchery in the meantime. Really just getting the hatcheries for the gas income, so he's not really opting for minerals so much. Really concerned with gas primarily. I've never really looked at a spawning pool in Brood War up close. But maybe in Brood War, the spawning pool is also dug into the ground. Like in StarCraft 2, it's definitely a raised, structure, right? Like it's got like a, maybe it's like an inflatable pool. Digging it into the ground would make more sense though, I guess. Either way, the Hydras and the Lurkers have arrived. They are joining the party, but this big drop over here from TaeJa is catching Rogue off guard. And this may just be exactly what TaeJa needs to climb back into this game. Because so far, he's been getting bullied. Lurkers in the meantime at the front as well, and they are gonna tear that army apart. Goodbye. Drop over here, though, also is not likely to be able to survive against this amount of Mutas. There's 9 of them in total, a bunch of Hydras joining in as well. That was a nice attack there by TaeJa. Mostly maybe some vision missing here on the left. But yeah, TaeJa cannot stop the flood. And suddenly, we are going to game 7. And that means it all comes down to this. The rubber match. Can Rogue complete the reverse sweep? It feels to me like about 10 minutes ago. The score was, well, 3-0 for TaeJa. And suddenly, well, it's been evened up. So, we find ourselves on Purity and Industry. This is one of the coolest maps that we've had in StarCraft 2 in a very long time, but a lot of people hated it. This was not a popular map at all, but I liked it because it was different. In case you're unfamiliar, there is a giant set of slow circles right over here in between the main bases in the dead space. These inhibitor zone generators make it difficult for drops to go across and, well, likewise as well for the Overlord to make it there. There's an island all the way in the far top right, and we have these expansions all over the map. There's a rich Vespian gas geyser right over here at the front, fair enough. One of the sides of the map, of course, it's this one right over here is Purity. Protals apparently very pure. And this is the industrial side of the map, aka the human side. Ugh. Imagine being human. I haven't been human in years. Either way, this is a map, though, where TaeJa should be able to get up, yeah, to some more shenanigans. I don't really... Well, maybe Rogue can go Mutas again. I wouldn't mind it. But I would imagine that Rogue once more wants to play a slightly more aggressive style. Not a great idea to be sitting back here and just chill, because fairly sure you're just gonna get overwhelmed again by TaeJa. TaeJa, likewise, though, is going for a much more aggressive opener himself. We have an engineering bay all the way in the back. We'll have to keep an eye on exactly what he decides to go for. Well, double barracks already on top of the main. SCV Scout will reveal as well what is going on, and nothing all too odd is happening. This is, by the way, TaeJa playing Brood War, and Rogue here playing SC2. So maybe that's why we have made the switch again, so those Mutalisks suddenly, right, are no longer going to be a problem for him. Who made this map, by the way? I really feel like Purity and Industry. Who made this map? Subaru Man. Ah, okay. Subaru Man actually maybe the StarCraft 2 GOAT of map makers. Because he made some really cool maps. My favorite one still being Golden Wall. I think Golden Wall is really cool. He made Cloud Kingdom, Beckett Industries, Eternal Empire, Turbo Cruise. This one, Waterfall Zen. I don't know if he still makes maps. I feel like map making, though, is not something you just quit, dude. Like, I know some of them have quit it, but they always seem to come back. It's kind of like World of Warcraft, you know? I'm currently on an extended break from World of Warcraft, but I'm under no illusion that one day I will be drawn back in. Either way, we have a lair coming up, together with a Roach Warren and no third base. So, clearly the gloves are off. This does not look like a StarCraft 2 map. Or, sorry, a StarCraft 2 build for Rogue. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, though, TaeJa went for an extremely quick +1 together with Stimpack. Look at this. I don't believe this is just going to be defensive. No, this is going to be a Stimpack +1 timing attack. But he does need to go across the map right now, though. Scans reveal what he's playing against. And he will see that there's, again, roaches. So, that's what we're going to do. We're doing an SCV pool for all the marbles. Man, TaeJa's such a tournament player. Look, I listed off his accomplishments at the beginning of this series. And this is how you do it. This is how you become an absolute legend. He is ready to bring it all down to one attack. Now, Rogue is also somebody that doesn't shy away from it, but here we go. Stimpack has been activated. The queens are being hunted down. The roaches haven't really found a good opportunity. Rogue did not expect this whatsoever. Workers are fighting workers, but the SCVs are tanking for all of the Marines. Stimpack is not gonna last forever, but the SCVs are dead. I mean, I guess with the medics just healing the Marines back up to full. Oh, what a beautiful game right here by TaeJa. I think he's getting the job done. Only a handful of the Marines have died thus far, although the roaches are popping out of their cocoons and the numbers are growing. Now that the medics are out of energy, maybe he can still stabilize. The big problem now for Rogue, though, is that he is at about half the worker count of the opponent, despite the fact that loads of STVs ended up going down. Even more drones died. And obviously, this has been a 2-base opener for Rogue as well. That means he is going to commit to the counterattack. He is going to try and see if he can retaliate by, well, countering an all-in with an all-in of his own. TaeJa, though, already waiting. Men with guns up on the high ground. No bunker yet. No, he's making one. But, I mean, he gets the Stimpack. He gets the jump on this army, and that's big. Just targeting down as many of those units as possible. Buying time for the bunker, and the bunker is out. The supply depots at the front are looking vulnerable, but siege tank production has begun. The machine shop has also started researching the siege mode upgrade, and I think TaeJa has this defense in the bag. Rogue can't even properly fight the Marines in the 1 SCV here, let alone go for the counter, so yeah, siege tank is out. I mean, as soon as the tank research is done. I think that will be an easy peasy hold, as already one of the roaches is scurrying back home. The Walk of Shame. Okay, so what do you do now, Rogue? He's been droning for a little bit. Scanning the main base is going to reveal what's going on. There's not a whole lot. We should have a second scan available in the comsat station over here. I wouldn't mind seeing one in the natural too, just to see how terrible the economy of the Zerg truly is. Third command center in the meantime coming up for TaeJa. Yeah. Action is very much so on Rogue. TaeJa is making all the right plays. This game is about 90% in his favor right now, and like the riskiest thing he can do is move out. That's what we saw in one of the previous games as well, when Rogue magically managed to bring it back after falling pretty far behind against the amount of economy. TaeJa was like, I guess I go for a push, and then Rogue swooped in. No reason really to take any risks. I think in this sort of spot, you just let the Zerg player come to you. Well, or you go for an attack and risk it all. No, I think he's actually just securing this base on the low ground. Yeah. Okay. Base over here, by the way, is very cursed. Terrible for Zerg to take. Not really viable, because I mean, the way that the larva production works is just not really easy to get the units out. Usually much better for a Terran. Who's, by the way, now adding on 4 additional barracks. Clumping them all together like this is Brood War. One of the ways in which you produce usually in Brood War, since you can only hotkey one structure per control group, it's pretty terrible, is by setting a camera location control group. So you will see players basically setting a camera location right over here and then clicking this. Like Barracks A, Barracks A, Barracks A, Barracks A, just to pump out a bunch of Marines. It is one of the ways to get the job done. Not necessary, of course, in the StarCraft 2 engine, as we once more have a good old science facility, and you know what? A Wraith awaiting launch orders. Coming up real soon. We're going mass Wraith? Really? Okay. There is finally a third, by the way, coming up here for Rogue, who probably can't quite believe that he's still alive. Kind of felt to me like he died at minute 4, but he's still in here somehow, some way. And obviously, this is the final match of the semifinals, right? Again, they're playing for the lion's share of $6,100. They don't want to be messing this one up. I think this is exactly what TaeJa needs to be doing, even though it kind of does feel like he maybe could be a little bit more aggressive. Cloak, by the way, I think, for the Wraiths. Researching in the control tower. I think one thing, though, that we have all figured out by watching these games is that roaches are kind of garbage. I really... Like, none of the roach attacks have particularly impressed me. Scans just reveal exactly what's going on, right? And there's just not a whole lot here for Zerg. So, as long as TaeJa sees, okay, I don't really have to be too concerned about it all. He can just chill. Having a maxed out army here is going to be tough, but you do have to be careful, right? You do have to be careful here as a Terran that you don't give the Zerg too much wiggle room, because now suddenly, Infestors are actually an option for Rogue. And even though they're maybe not as powerful as any of the StarCraft 1 spellcasters, Infestors with Fungal, you still gotta respect them. Here we go. Ha! Raids! Oh god, okay. The paper planes have activated Cloak. They're leading the charge, and there's no anti-air. Oh my god, he's gonna target the Infestors. Oh, yeah, you can get the fungal for the review. Congratulations, there's no anti-air. Close your eyes, Zerg players. I don't think this is gonna be pretty. Siege tanks don't even have to be sieged up here, as TaeJa is splitting his tanks against the corrosive biles. GG gets cold. And just like that, it is TaeJa who makes it to the grand finals of the StarCraft Evolution League. What an absolute banger. That was really, really fun. Should I have a look at the grand finals as well? You should let me know down below in the comment section. At the very least, if you want to see it, hit the like button.